My floor is this ugly carpet with some questionable stains, and it's got to go. This is my guest bedroom, and I've been working for a few weeks to transform this room into a safe haven for my family when they come and visit. But after all the trouble refinishing old furniture, building a new bed, and doing an accent wall, I'm going to leave this ugly carpet on? I don't think so. Here's the thing, I'm trying to do this on a budget, and I did a quick search on how much an average bedroom makeover is, and some crazy numbers came up. This of course depends on the scope of the project, but in my case, I'm doing a small scale remodel and I'll be doing it all myself. So my goal is to do this for a fraction of the cost. I just got done building this bed and putting it together, and now I have to take it back out. Because I did everything backwards. I worked on all the furniture that's going in this room, built this bed, and then decided that I'm gonna change the floors. Since I'm in the middle of redoing this room, I think it's the perfect opportunity to just go ahead and take it out. But in order to take the bed out, I had to disassemble it. Luckily, Tony was here to help me. Ah! Sorry. So the carpet runs into the closet, so I might as well take all that out and run the floor also into the closet. Oh, I forgot everything that was in here. We all have a closet that we don't talk about. So Tony and I love cosplaying. It's one of our hobbies. And one time, my dad decided to join us, and he said he wanted to cosplay as Hannibal Lecter. So I made him a prop, and we wheeled him around a DragonCon convention dressed as Hannibal Lecter. And people loved it. Everybody was taking pictures. These are onesies. This is my Goku cosplay. This is my Jon Snow cosplay. And this is Tony's dragon cosplay. So she was the dragon for Dragon Ball Z, Shenron, and she also cosplayed as my dragon when I was Rhaenyra Targaryen. Anyways, fun times. Inflatable T-Rex costumes. How did this even get in here? I don't even want to know what's in here. I guess I can start in this corner. Because the carpet is so big, it's all one piece in the room. It's very heavy if I try to roll it out. So I'm gonna cut it into small pieces so I can put it inside trash bags. And a couple of tips I picked up over time is to use a new blade when doing this because it will cut the carpet so much quicker. And the second one, cut the carpet from the back. It cuts a lot easier than trying to cut it from the front. First roll. Now let's do the rest of the room. This is not my first round doing floors. I've changed floors in a few houses before working with my dad. I've also changed most of the floors in this house because there was a lot of carpet and I absolutely hate carpet. I've only used laminate and vinyl planks, but I honestly don't like laminate at all. I think the vinyl planks are better because they're waterproof. After I'm done with this bedroom, the last room with carpet is the master bedroom, but that's going to be a bigger project than this. So this room I'm doing right now is kind of my practice room and also where I'm going to sleep while the main bedroom is getting a makeover because it will probably take weeks. That came out easy. This is pretty comfy. So I got a late start today, so I'm gonna do everything else tomorrow. But the reason I wanted to take the carpet up today is because I needed to check the subfloor and make sure that there was no patching, no leveling to do. And I've been very lucky with this house that mostly everything's level. And there's a few spots here and there that I gotta sand down, but that's it. I'm gonna clean this up and I will start tomorrow early. It's really echoey in this room right now. Hello? 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 Anyways, I'm gonna start by removing all the tack strips. That shouldn't be too bad, it just depends if they put a whole bunch of nails on it, but it shouldn't take too long. But before I start on that, I wanna tell you about my favorite chair, which is the C7 Ergonomic chair from FlexiSpot. Our old chair was uncomfortable and a pain in the back. I couldn't even lean. But with the C7, look, it's really comfy. This chair offers wider and larger seat cushions. You have the option of a foam or mesh seat, and it supports up to 300 pounds, so you can sit and relax for long periods of time. It also has the adapted lumbar support that conforms to the spine when seated, and a 4-level lockable backrest with a maximum recliner of 128 degrees. It also has a pull-out footrest, and let me tell you, this is one of my favorite features. I've been using this chair for a little while now, and FlexiSpot just sent me a second one, so now Tony and I have matching chairs. So no more fighting over who gets to use it. There are many adjustments you can make to customize this chair for you. It has a 3D armrest and the 3D adjustable headrest. The seat's also adjustable, or you can lock it in place if you don't want it to move. Like I said, it's really comfy. And it's the perfect gift or investment for your home. And with Black Friday around the corner, you can also check out the E7 Pro standing desk or the home appliances on sale. FlexiSpot has a 30-day return policy, so you have a risk-free trial and a 10-year warranty on the C7 chair. You can now grab the best discount on FlexiSpot and check out their new C7 Max models having more advanced features. So use my code in the description to save an extra $50 on the C7 chair. You also have the opportunity to win free orders. Here's the calendar so that you can treat yourself to a comfortable workstation this Black Friday. Time to work. Don't fall asleep. Oh, that's loud. I'll be back. Did I turn off the camera? Now that I've saved myself from hearing loss today, I started to remove the tack strips by using a pry bar and a hammer. So the trick I found to doing this is to use this part right here and nail it where every nail is, and then just pry where the nails are. And that way when I lift it, this doesn't like split if I do it right where the nails are. If I do it in between the nails, see, it just breaks off because the nail is holding it down. Done? So the underlayment, when they put it down, they put it with staples, so it leaves these fuzzies behind. But I gotta get the staples out because they're sticking out of the floor, and that would affect the floor I'm putting up. To take the staples out, I either use the pliers or I use the multi-tool if I can't get it out with the pliers. So there's a couple spots around the seams that are lifted, like see if I try to run that. So that's what I'm gonna get. It's fine everywhere else, but that corner's lifted up. It's the worst in the closet. Let me show you. You see how lifted that is? Like, look. It's pretty bad. I think I'm gonna take the multi-tool and just like run the blade through it to flatten it out as much as possible, and then I'm gonna run the sander. Many of you have recommended that I attach the vacuum to the sander so that it doesn't make a mess. So I'm doing that this time because I've made quite a mess in the past. So I try to level this out, and for some reason this edge was really soft, so a lot of it came out. Now there's this big old gap on this seam, and I'm not comfortable laying the floor over it because it's like the edge of the floor ends up there. It could just kind of dip. Anyways, I gotta patch it. That's what I'm trying to say. I was trying to catch all of this yesterday, but I didn't. So I'm gonna patch that. It's supposed to dry quickly. So what I'm gonna do is I'll kind of lay the floor, leave the closet to the end. I sanded a few more spots, and then I found some nails that were sticking out. So for the color, I'm gonna be using a nice light wood tone. But the reason I got a late start yesterday is because I left picking out the floor color to the last minute. I had some floor samples and I had bought a box of floors to test out the colors to see if I liked it. After I finished everything and it was time for me to decide on the floor, I realized that I didn't like any of the colors that I picked. So I went to Lowe's and I spent quite a bit of time there as usual. Can you hold this for me? And I picked out a new color. On to the next thing. We loaded 12 boxes of floor in the cart, got it in the car. I got here, got one box out, looked at all of the flooring samples and the new color I picked, and I didn't like it. So then we went to Home Depot. So I got two colors from Home Depot, brought them here, but I didn't like them either. So we went back to Lowe's, returned all 12 boxes of floor that I got, and I ended up deciding on the very first color that I picked from the beginning. Before I bought any floors, when I had the first set of samples, this was one of them. So I'm gonna start with the easy side of the room. The non-easy side has a little like entrance part there and then the closet. I don't know if it matters what side I start on. I just like starting on the easy side because I feel like I'm making progress. If I start on the hard side, I'll probably be stuck there for 2 hours and get frustrated because it feels like I haven't gotten nothing done. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna be using a few tools to install the floors and I'll just kind of show you what I'm using as I go. One of the main things I do recommend if you're putting floors down is some good knee pads. Not even the cheap ones, like get some good gel ones because this sucks. There's nothing fun about laying floors, especially because you'll be on your knees for a while. The floors have the patterns printed on them, so they get repeated a lot. And just for visuals, you don't want the same pattern of planks next to each other, too close to each other. So that's why I have them all laid out to make sure that I don't do that. I also found the first damaged plank, and what I like to do is mark them by the damaged area so I know not to use it accidentally somewhere else. This one, however, I'm gonna lay against the wall and I'm also gonna cut an inch off of it. So one of the tools you're gonna need is a square or any kind of straight edge to mark the lines that you're gonna cut on the floor. I measured the whole room, and when I get to the closet, there's not gonna be a seam, like I'm just gonna run the floor through the closet, but I want it to be like at a specific part of the plank. So I measured it, hopefully I measured it right. And in order for that to happen, I have to cut like an inch off of this row, the first row over here, and then I can just kind of go through. So I'm gonna do that with a table saw, but if you didn't have a table saw, you can do that with a jigsaw, circular saw. Worst case, you can use like a multi-tool. Just takes a little longer, but I only have to do that on some of the edges. I've never used this tool before. That was kind of cool. Also has a very interesting warning label. According to this, the handle can crack your head. Yeah, I can see how that would happen. Normally, I use the miter saw to cut the planks every time I lay floors, but this time I decided to invest a little bit, and I got this tool to hopefully work a little bit more efficient. The problem with the miter saw is that every time I need to make a cut, I need to get up, go outside, make the cut, come back, and lay the plank. But with this tool, I don't have to leave the room. I can do all of my cuts here and it doesn't make a mess like with the miter saw. And since I will be doing floors in more than one room, I think this tool is very much worth it. I love this since the first cut. I almost put the same plank next to each other, which is what I told you not to do earlier. But the plank that I was gonna put here ended up being damaged, so then I picked out another one and just put it there without noticing. But I'm glad I caught it. The first few rows always takes me a little bit to get going, but once I have like 4 or 5 rows, is like easy from there until I get to the closet. So when I get to the end, what I like to do is I flip over the plank. I use the spacer to know where it needs to end. And then here where the last plank ends, I mark it with a square, and that's where I need to make my cut. That cut never gets old. Satisfying. If it doesn't want to go in by hand, like if you push it doesn't go in, then you just lightly tap it. If I have to tap a little bit harder, I like to use like a scrap piece and tap the scrap piece, because the edges are very fragile before they get installed, so I never want to damage them. Now the offcut I'm going to use to start the next row. And I like to measure it to make sure that it is at least 8 inches. I think that's what the recommended length is. You don't want to use something that's too short. So this is about 9.5, so we're good. The tools that I'm using to install the floor come in a kit. I've had this kit for a while, and I think it's called a flooring installation kit, and it comes with spacers, a tapping block, a mallet, and a pull bar. I have the most basic one, but I've seen a better version of it. You might also notice that I'm not using any underlayment. That's because this floor has padding already under it. I checked the specs and it's not necessary to add any additional padding unless the subfloor isn't smooth, but I made sure that it was smooth while I was prepping it. Sometimes I run where like the last piece there is like a little bit too small. That's the Velcro of my knee pads, sorry. So I just gotta take this one board off, just cut it off a little bit more, just so that it gives me more room over there, so that the piece is not that small. Sometimes it gets dusty and you don't want like dust or debris to get into the little grooves. The spacers that you see me using are used to create a gap between the wall and the floors, and this allows the material to expand and contract with temperature changes, and it prevents the floors from buckling in the future. So I always check for gaps. You see how there's a little bit of a gap there? I can fit my fingernail there. Also, a lot of times you can notice when there's a gap that doesn't fit flush. You can either just try to push it in with your hand or just use a tapping block. Now it's flush with the floor, no gap. See how that's damaged there? You can also feel it. I think overall laying vinyl plank flooring is simple, except for the tedious cuts, which I will get to when I get to the closet door and the entrance door. But it is really exhausting. It's very hard on my body, especially my back, so it's not my favorite thing to do. I take a lot of breaks in between, and I always feel like I'm really slow at it, but I get it done eventually. So I just ran into the first funky cut I gotta do. Let me show you. This right here is gonna be covered by quarter round, but this is not. So I have to, with the multi-tool, undercut this part right here so I can slide this in. But this part has to go even further because I needed to go under this transition here. But that's a little bit funky to do, so I'm gonna undercut this first and then maybe cut it little by little with the multi-tool until it fits. Alright, so I'm almost there. So I need to cut it here a little bit. So now it's under there, it's under here, under here. Maybe I should shave it off a little bit here just so it has more space, but it's perfect. I gotta do a very interesting cut in here. Oh, my next cut, I have to cut it to where there's a thin piece here, so it'll be full size there, thin piece here. And then it kind of has to wrap around the closet because it's gonna continue into the closet. And it also has to go under this trim and under the door jamb, like I did over there. But that's going to be tomorrow's problem because I am tired It is getting late, and when I am tired, I start making a lot of mistakes. And usually these cuts are the ones that make me lose my patience. So I'll do that first thing in the morning, after I had coffee, and everything should be good. So I'm on my second cup of coffee, and I spent some time staring at this. And I think what I'm gonna do is a template on a cardboard to see how I'm gonna cut it, and then I'll cut the floor. And I think that will probably be the easiest way. So I'm gonna do the undercutting under the door jambs and the trim so that I know the exact measurements I need, and then I'll go from there. This is good over here, but then I have to leave a little bit more meat on there so that it goes under. This is why we do the template, because this would have been my second floor cut that I would have messed up. Where's my other template? This is my first one. And you see how bad that is? So this is why I'm doing this. Oh. That's gonna work. Just need to cut a little bit more here, but we're good. Oh wow, that's gonna work. This would have been easier with a jigsaw, but I was too lazy to go outside and get it. I actually took the plank I put here off because I need to cut it to the size of this one. I wanted the cutout that goes around this to be right in the middle of a plank so that I have some meat over here, some meat over here. And that just kind of, it just keeps the floor from getting flimsy, because it already has this very thin piece, so you just want to have the most support. But I think that's how it's supposed to be. Okay. Go. Oh. Okay. You stay there. I don't have time for things breaking. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, I think I kind of got it. I talk to myself a lot, so those squirrel noises that you hear, it's just me talking to myself, assuring myself that I almost got this ridiculous cut in place, and sometimes that's just how I get through a project. There's probably an easier way to do this, but I didn't research it. The problem that I was having was locking it in place. See, the planks are designed to be locked in place at an angle, but since I had this under the trim and the door jamb, I couldn't angle it. Oh yeah. All good. I think I'm gonna shave it a little bit over here, but I'll do that while it's in place because I ain't taking this out. Now the other side, which I'm pretty much gonna do the same I did here. It fits, but I gotta get it to lock in. Okay. Why are you being such? Okay, now I can do this piece. I know it's kind of doing it backwards here, but it was just easier to do the complicated cutout and then do this. And now, yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, okay. The rest should be easy. I don't have a lot to go. I just have the closet, so this part over here. I also have that part to do. And now that I'm in the closet, I am trying to use my damaged pieces. So especially the ones that just have a corner damage, because I can just cut each side and then just lay the whole plank there. So much for not taking the transition out, and it ended up coming off. Not completely, but I can tell that I have to glue it back down.
The last few pieces against the wall, I had to rip on the table saw, just like I did on the first row. I'm enjoying the new floors. I love to like stare at a room with like brand new floors. I don't know why, but it looks so pretty. I love it. It's a little more wild than I thought. I think I was looking for something with a little bit less, but I did want a contrast. Like I just didn't want it to blend in with the wall too much. I wanted, you know, like a pop, but it's very pretty. I do like it. So the last step is to do quarter round all around the baseboard. So if you don't remove the baseboard, you can just cover it with quarter round. I normally replace the baseboards, that's what I've done in the other rooms, but I did this room backwards, and I already have this trim on this wall, and the baseboards usually ends up being taller, so it would have just become a problem replacing it here, so I just decided to do quarter round. It's not my favorite look, but it still works, it's not that bad. And it does save me the extra step of having to remove all the baseboard. So I had to move the miter saw from here because these are 12-foot long quarter round. My countertops are not that long on either direction, so I had to move it out so that I can actually move this where I need it. It's really hard to get the tape measure to stay in place when I'm measuring something that small, so I'm just taping it there so it doesn't snap off, because I need to go really far. So I have all the quarter round pre-cut and dry fitted around the room, but I wanted to show you the ends here. So you can either do just like a flat end, just end it flat, which is what I normally done in the past. And I saw online that you can do this little fancy end cap here, just like that. It just makes it look a little bit better. It's actually fairly easy to cut. Takes a little bit of time because I have to glue it before I install it. So I think I'm just gonna glue it with CA glue, so that should be the fastest way. And then I gotta paint all of these pieces. I normally paint them before, and that is the easiest thing to do because you just paint the whole stick instead of like all of the individual sticks all cut up into little pieces. But I'm doing this bedroom backwards, so I'm just keeping up with that streak. To cut the little end cap, I cut the trim at an outside 45-degree angle. Then I cut another piece the opposite way, but also at an outside angle. And then I did a straight cut on just the little angle piece. I watched a few tutorials on how to do this, and I found them all confusing, so I ended up doing multiple cuts until I figured out the right way to do this. And I apologize if I didn't explain this right, but once I figured it out, it was actually pretty simple. If you're curious about how much I spent on this project, the flooring along with the materials I needed were around $660. It definitely took a big chunk of the budget for this bedroom, but I think it was worth it. When I started laying the quarter round, I noticed that the paint was a lot brighter white than the baseboard, but it didn't bother me enough to repaint everything. The floor came out amazing, and it looks a lot better than that ugly carpet.
Done? Oh, I still have to do caulking. And I gotta put wall patch thingy on the nail holes.
I used drywall compound to cover all the nail holes and then caulking to create a clean professional finish. I did have to touch up some older spots with the caulking and then do touch-up paint later. The next part of this project will be to put this room together, so I will have a final review for you very soon. Don't forget the Black Friday sale is around the corner and you can grab the best discount on FlexiSpot. Check out the new C7 Max model having more advanced features and use my code in the description to save an extra $50 on the C7 chair. You also have the opportunity to win free orders, and here's the calendar so you can treat yourself to a comfortable workstation this Black Friday.